Guys, before we begin, I have one small request. These recaps take hours of hard work to make. So, if you see the hype button, please take a second to hype this video and subscribe to the channel. Your support truly means a lot to me. Now, let's begin.
After losing a drinking game, I got dared to tell my heart to this girl who weighed 800 pounds and looked like a tank. But by mistake, I sent that message straight to a cold-hearted CEO. Be my girlfriend. I hope you know what's best for you. She was sitting in her office at that moment. She had just seen a message from some annoying idiot calling her a fool. Her cheeks instantly flushed pink. Her heart started pounding. Did he just call me his woman? It was a confession that was both sweet and a little bit bossy. She sat there for a long time. I got stuck. Just before typing one word, I wrote okay, but even after 2 minutes passed, I didn't get any reply from her. She freaked out instantly and started flooding me with childish, tearful messages. Baby, I already said yes. Baby, what are you doing? Why aren't you answering my messages? Baby, did you take a bath? Let me hug you. Whatever you want to do tomorrow, I'll do it with you. But there was no response from my side. She got really stressed out. A few moments hesitating, he gently pressed his lips and typed, "Annoying idiot Jake Thompson, come to my office tomorrow morning." The next morning, I woke up from sleep, holding the phone tightly. I had a headache too. Damn it. How did I even fall asleep last night? Anyway, whatever. I looked at the phone, it was already 7:30. I hadn't even properly gotten dressed. In a rush, I ran towards the office and somehow reached by 7:59. I wasn't late. Just then, my best friend Lil Wolf came up to me. He looked at me with pity. "Jake, the CEO Sophie is asking for you. I told you to come. Let's hurry to the CEO's office. Seems like it's really important." Hearing this, a bunch of questions popped up on my face. The CEO, Sophie, has nothing to do with me. What does she want from me? On my way to Sophie Sullivan's office, I accidentally ran into Secretary Young. Last night, I helped her get married. Lil Wolf finally convinced her. When the secretary saw me, she raised her eyebrows a bit and quietly reminded me, "Jake, be careful. The CEO seems a bit off this morning." Hearing that, I was a bit taken aback. Being weird like that is pretty normal for her. Weird how? Secretary John shrugged. How do I put this? She's acting all shy, like some girl. I almost jumped hearing that. That's really unusual. Sophie Sullivan, does she even know how to be shy like a young woman? Then I nodded in agreement to Secretary Jing. I walked straight into Sophie Sullivan's office. The moment I opened the door, my eyes landed on a woman dressed in a white sundress, one hand resting on her cheek. Her cheeks were rosy, and she seemed lost in thought. "CEO Sophie, why did you call me in so early?" Seeing this unfamiliar side of Sophie Sullivan made me a bit uneasy. Scratching my head, I asked awkwardly. Sophie heard me and looked my way. Our eyes met. In the next moment, a faint smile appeared on her face. She blushed. Then, looking shy like a little kid, she lowered her head. "Jake Thompson, do you have anything to say about last night?" The words just stopped there. I froze instantly. Last night, I was drinking. Playing truth or dare. Didn't have anything to do with her. I tried really hard to remember what happened last night, but I still couldn't figure out what went down with CEO Sophie. Actually, Sophie Sullivan kept tossing and turning all night. Slept just 2 hours. She kept worrying that maybe she'd said what was on her mind out loud. Wrong. If I misunderstood and she was actually rejecting me, that'd be really embarrassing for me. Should I explain things to Jake Thompson now? Sophie Sullivan hesitated, lost in thought. Her neck to her cheeks turned pink. Then she slowly moved her lips and murmured, "Jake Thompson, what you admitted last night wasn't something I rejected outright. I think we need to talk face to face." A faint smile played at the corners of her mouth. She gently bit her lower lip and nodded shyly. "All right." Then she took a deep breath, trying to steady herself. I quickly pulled out my phone and opened the Penguin app. My eyes landed on the chat with CEO Sophie. At that moment, I broke out in a cold sweat. My hands were shaking as I clicked on the chat. Damn it. What kind of nonsense is this? I clearly remember losing at Truth or Dare last night and admitting something. Tank Girl had now targeted Sophie Sullivan. She beat me. I immediately shook my head hard and looked at my face. I'll never play this game drunk again. "Jake Thompson, have you calmed down?" Sophie Sullivan finally said. She looked at me a bit annoyed. I scratched my head and stayed quiet for a while. Drunk confessions, wrong messages sent. Still, I beat the ice-cold CEO of Tristation. Just as I was hesitating, A robotic voice came through my ear. Ding, congratulations. Host, the soulmate binding system has been activated. The chosen soulmate is Sophie Sullivan, beauty score 95 points. Once you bond with Sophie Sullivan as your soulmate, the system officially wakes up and all functions get unlocked. As a reward, you'll get 5 million soft currency and 1,000 points. The 5 million reward only comes if Sophie Sullivan agrees. Do I even need to choose, should I? Am I someone who's easily swayed by money? Am I someone who gets distracted that easily? I had a slight cough and looked Sophie Sullivan straight in the eyes. CEO Sophie, I can only say this in my own words. Whatever I said last night, I said it after thinking it through. It came straight from the depths of my heart. I'm Jake Thompson. I don't say I love you just like that. This isn't about money or some drunk mistake in a message. Why would I send a message to the wrong person? Why would I send it to Sophie Sullivan? I guess you could say it's fate, nature's decree. Got it. Hearing that, Sophie Sullivan's face turned even redder. She shyly lowered her head, clasped her hands tightly, and lightly pressed her lips together. Seeing this, the corners of my mouth twitched up slightly. Walking straight towards Sophie with a mischievous grin, I leaned in and said, "So, what does that make me to you?" This made Sophie's face flush even more. Her small fists clenched tightly. "Jake Thompson, why are you pretending to ask? After all, I'm the CEO of this company," Sophie Sullivan said, composing herself. The corners of her lips twisted slightly. "Turn around." "Yeah, Jake Thompson, why are you pretending to ask?" Then he gently reached out his fair hand and pointed to his heart. "Because I agreed with you, that's why you're naturally here. The person living in my heart, my husband." We, Sophie Sullivan, had just finished speaking when the system's voice echoed in my mind again the next moment. Ding, congratulations, host. The soulmate binding system is now fully activated. Soulmate Sophie Sullivan, the rewards have been distributed, but I didn't listen to the system at all. My thoughts were still on Sophie Sullivan's husband. They were stuck. Oh God, Sophie Sullivan actually said that. This move won't just avoid losses, it'll bring a huge gain. Sophie Sullivan, right in front of me. Now, like a wolf in sheep's clothing, she was both playful and shy. Her eyes kept drifting toward me every now and then. After some teasing, she suddenly froze. Both her hands trembled nervously. She didn't know where to put them. It was like she was about to collapse into my arms, showing some sweet charm. But just then, someone knocked on the door from the hallway. She was called into a meeting. CEO Sophie Thunder. The corporation's CEO, Williams, is arriving in 10 minutes. Do you need to prepare anything? The secretary's voice was heard halfway through. Sophie Sullivan clearly felt a bit irritated but quickly returned to her calm demeanor. All right, I know. I was just sitting at my desk when Madison Wong and Lily Song showed up. Jake, bro, I made this porridge this morning. Have you had breakfast? Jake Thompson. Little Wolf said you guys drank last night. Do you still have a headache? These two are my little fans in the company. They're girls. Usually, I could tease them a bit, but now I'm already with someone. You two go ahead. I've got some work to do. I waved my hand. Both girls walked away, disappointed by the rejection. Just then, my best friend Little Wolf saw this and came over with a smile. Jake, bro, what's going on? A girl brought you porridge all sweetly, and you don't want to eat it? Little Wolf had just gotten a girlfriend, so he was a bit out of it. Hearing that, I could only give a bitter smile. I waved my hand and said, nothing. Just fallen in love. That's it. I don't just want to accept things from other women like that. Little Wolf was taken aback. Love. Oh my God. The CEO Sophie went to the office and became a lover. The answer was crystal clear. Little Wolf took a sip. Jake looked at me with disbelief and said, man, wow, you hit the jackpot. Tell me, which cousin did CEO Sophie introduce you to? Hearing that, question marks popped up on my face. I looked at Little Wolf coolly. Not a cousin at all. Why not Sophie Sullivan? Little Wolf's eyes went wide. He quickly looked around. His voice was shaking. Jake, don't talk so casually. Have you forgotten the oath of the oldie from the tech department? Whoever wins over CEO Sophie will show her the live stream of the electric fan with the headstand. Hearing this, I got worked up. Oh man, that's a thing too. Let it go, poorly. So, I made an excuse. He's just CEO Sophie's cousin. Little Wolf breathed a sigh of relief and even gave me a thumbs up. I just watched helplessly, then turned back to work on the computer. After all, I've lived a life too. Just 20. It took just a minute. I finished typing up the entire design proposal. The rest of the day was just about going through the formalities. Soon enough, it was time to clock out. I had a cup of tea ready. We were told to leave right at 12 o'clock. There were 2 minutes left before noon. That's when William Harris, the head of the tech department, walked into the office. He then turned around and announced, "Everyone, get ready to leave." This morning, Thunder Corporation's CEO Sophie and CEO Williams finalized the initial plan for SK's product, which is a premium essence line. It's going to hit the market soon. This is super important. So everyone, hurry up. Each person needs to submit one design. If any design gets chosen as the final plan, we'll give a cash prize of 10,000. That was the end of it. The entire tech team collectively sighed. Even before the work was finished, the demand for design submissions kept coming. This time, not even a lunch break was given. Everyone exchanged bitter smiles. In the end, they skipped lunch, just like William wanted. Right at 12 o'clock, William saw the employees working hard and nodded with satisfaction. He was feeling proud of himself. A figure rushed past quickly. "Damn it, time's up. I'm heading home. What else? I'm starving. Let's grab something to eat. Let's grab something to eat. I already finished earlier." Work was done first thing this morning. Obviously, there was no need to do overtime. But to William, it was a completely different story. Everyone else was still at work, while I was trying to sneak out. What am I running from? Just stay here. Jack Thompson, don't you have even a little sense of responsibility? Huh? Aren't people seeing you working? How do you even have the guts to go home for lunch? Hearing this, I turned away with a look of contempt. I glared at him. What's wrong with me taking a lunch break? Those people are working overtime without getting paid for it. What does that have to do with me? William froze up. He couldn't say anything. He knew I was right. Still, he didn't want to let me go. This overtime will count in the attendance evaluation. Fine, go ahead and deduct it. This month, I'll just cut your attendance bonus. Saying this, William nodded confidently. She picked it up. Satisfaction was clearly visible in her eyes. But I just gave her a cold glare. Grinding my teeth, I said a couple of words. The fool turned around and walked away. Screw overtime. Just go ahead and deduct my pay. Just try touching Sophie Sullivan. She's my wife. I don't care. She thinks she's everything. After a while, I reached my apartment building. On the way, I stopped at my favorite beef noodle shop, ate my fill, and then went home relaxed. Making good use of my free time, I studied the system. After that, I got ready for the lottery, used 1,000 system points, prayed to God and Buddha for a house, wished for a big villa, kept praying silently. Ding. 1,000 binding points spent. The host won the lottery. Congratulations to the host. I got a jewelry set from Gulf Century Limited. What a drag. What do I need with this useless stuff? I felt terrible. So, I decided to sell it. Suddenly, I took a deep breath. Remembering Sophie's subtle hints, it clearly felt like I was being forced to give a gift. But yeah, I should buy something for Sophie Sullivan. Galaxy Shopping Center. On my way to work, I passed by the Gulf store. Thought, why not just buy it from here? I'll surprise Sophie Sullivan this afternoon. I went straight to the 4th floor. Don't know how many girls asked for my number there. I said no. Felt a bit annoyed inside. Damn it. Left in such a hurry, forgot to wear my mask. Can't hide this incredibly handsome face. I headed straight to the grocery store. Almost everyone here was rich except me. Meeting rich women, I was feeling scared. As soon as the shopping was done, I quickly told the salesgirl my name and asked her to get ready for me quickly. The salesgirl didn't hesitate at all. You should know that my necklace is worth up to 2.88 million. Even if someone sells their whole life, they wouldn't have that much money. While I was waiting to pick up my stuff, a middle-aged man showed up. He got straight to the point and said he wanted to buy this necklace. Money wasn't a problem for him. He introduced himself as Thomas Zone. That name sounded familiar to me. I think I've heard it somewhere before. After realizing the cost of losing, I just couldn't stop myself. Avoiding greed was really tough. But then I started thinking, if I sell Thomas Sullivan, what am I going to give Sophie Sullivan? My wife deserves something too. So, I made up an excuse that I was just buying something for a friend. That's why Thomas Sullivan didn't bother me anymore. Alright, I won't bother you now. Hey brother Jake, next time you're at Galaxy Plaza, just show my business card. You'll get a discount. I wasn't shy either. I grabbed the business card right away. Just then, the salesgirl carefully. I took out the box of packed jewelry. If there's nothing else, I'm going. After that, I went back to the department and swiped in. Went inside. Then I headed straight to the CEO's office on the top floor. As soon as I walked in, I saw Sophie Sullivan's rosy face staring out the window. I wonder what mischievous thoughts were running through her mind. I immediately went up to her, leaned my head close, and breathed in her scent. Wife, I miss you so much during these few hours apart. The moment Sophie Sullivan looked at me, she got flustered again. Her eyes were hiding something. Her mind was tangled with thoughts. Your hair's a bit messy. Should I help you fix it? Or just leave it like this? Would that be too personal? Yeah, I am her girlfriend, after all. Finally, Sophie Sullivan gently reached out her right hand. Her left hand was clenched in a fist, but she helped me tidy my hair properly. Then, oddly, she pulled her hand back. Did you eat enough for lunch? Yeah, I ate enough. Wife, I'm telling you. Down here, I've got this awesome beef noodle joint. Once you're free, I'll take you there. Sophie Sullivan paused for a moment. As the CEO of the company, she never gets a day off. She's almost always swamped at work. That's why she quietly started making plans in her head. Cancel everything for tomorrow. No, we have to go tonight. While Sophie Sullivan was still figuring things out, I thought maybe we should call off the afternoon plans. I slowly pulled out the necklace box from my pocket. As I got ready to put it around Sophie Sullivan's neck, it was in my hand. Seeing the necklace, Sophie Sullivan's eyes lit up with surprise. She froze. Sophie knew a bit about the Grove brand. The unbelievably gorgeous gem was shining beautifully. At that moment, a strange feeling washed over her. A weird sensation rose in her heart. It felt like she had been chosen for sure. How much Jake Thompson must love me to be willing to spend money on this gift. Then Sophie closed her beautiful eyes. Her face turned red. She gently lowered her head, waiting for me to put the necklace on her. She was about to start, but just then the phone rang. Hello, oh God, is he going through it again? Still daring to cause trouble. I'm on my way. After hanging up, I put the phone back in the box. Feeling a bit helpless, I said, Wife, I've got some work. I need to leave. Sophie Sullivan looked a little disappointed. Nodding, she said, You go ahead. Don't skip your important work. At that moment, I could clearly see anger flashing in her eyes. Let's see who the blind fool is that dares to ruin this good thing with her. These were the old days. Hearing it felt like this was some kind of business deal. She was really upset and angry. Deep down, she wished I would personally hand her the defeat. The conversation got cut off midway. Secretary John came in. Her cold voice was heard. A few seconds later, Emily John pushed the door open and stepped inside. Go find out if the tech department is forcing employees to work overtime. I want a full report within half an hour. Emily John glared at Sophie Sullivan, who was boiling with anger. Her heart skipped a beat and she started trembling. It's the tech department, right, CEO Sophie? I know about this. The department head, William, is forcing employees to work overtime during lunch, so they don't get the night off. First, hand it over to them. SK Essence needs to submit the design. Jack Thompson and Mike Wolf didn't work overtime. That's why William Harris is losing his mind now. Emily Jong also tried to drag me and Little Wolf down without thinking. After all, I was the one who brought those two together. Sophie Sullivan heard this. Her eyes went ice cold. Are you crazy? Go to the tech department now. Tell William Harris to meet me. Seeing this, Emily John got seriously scared. She didn't even have the courage to think anymore and quickly followed the orders. In the tech department. On one side, Little Wolf was glaring at William Harris. He said arrogantly, William Harris, Jake's proposal is all written here. What else do you have to say? William Harris took the documents. Without even looking, he replied coldly, There's nothing special in this proposal. Write another one. If you don't write it, you can't just leave the job. Just then, I came in. As soon as I reached the office, I heard that annoying voice. It was clearly meant to piss me off. I immediately got angry. I shot William Harris an angry look. Damn it, I thought. This is too much already. If it weren't for that, I'd still be getting cozy with my wife. I was about to give her a piece of my mind when Secretary John walked in. Department Head William, CEO Sophie is calling you. The moment William heard CEO Sophie's name, his eyes lit up. Oh God, CEO Sophie is calling me. It must be for praise, a promotion, or a raise. I'm coming right now. Before leaving, she shot me an angry glare. Wait, I'll be back to deal with you. I just shrugged helplessly. All right then, we'll see who deals with whom. Tom stood at the door of CEO William Harris's office. He took a deep breath. His mind was nervous but excited. Getting employees to work for free and still stay obedient, that's William Harris's talent. The CEO Sophie is going to promote me soon, he thought. And with that excitement, he knocked loudly on the door. "See you, Sophie. It's me, little Harris." William Harris sneaked into the room. Sophie Sullivan gave him a cold look. William's throat went dry and his whole body was shaking. "CEO Sophie, here are the 3 complete design proposals. Please review them." Sophie Sullivan heard it and stopped. Then she looked up and saw William Harris staring right at her with those beautiful eyes. William Harris noticed and started trembling. CEO Sophie was shocked. This was the perfect chance to show off. She immediately scratched her head and let out an awkward laugh. CEO Sophie said, "I announced it in the department right after lunch. Everyone stopped eating, drinking, and resting, and got to work." But Sophie Sullivan didn't even bother to listen. Clearly admitting her mistake, she bluntly asked, "So, is this some kind of coercion? Overtime? Then tell me why you're forcing the employees to work extra hours." William Harris laughed weirdly again. "CEO Sophie, I remember you once said that working more helps employees improve their skills. That's a good thing." Sophie Sullivan heard this and felt like she was on fire. "This jerk is even accusing me now. Oh, it's like asking for death." At first, she used to ignore overtime because, after all, it benefits the company. But now he's using the same excuse to bother me. She was just about to put on the garland when he stopped her halfway. Thinking this, Sophie Sullivan got even angrier. She snapped, "I clearly said that as senior management, we can't force employees to do overtime without a valid reason. They need time and opportunities to grow and take initiative on their own. Doesn't Department Head William remember? Did I say that or not?" William Harris felt like crying. He even dared to swear that CEO Sophie had indeed said it before. But now Sophie Sullivan is the CEO. Whether she said it or not, that's her right. How dare you argue with her? "Yes, CEO Sophie, I remember her well." Seeing her admit it, Sophie slammed her hand hard on the table. Her icy cold gaze fixed on William Harris. "You remember it so clearly, yet you still make people work overtime. If you make them work too much, write me a 3,000-word self-critique and hand it to the disciplinary committee at the end of the year." Sweat instantly formed on William Harris's forehead. He answered shakily, "I understand, CEO Sophie. I went and wrote it down." Immediately do some self-criticism. Then he ran straight out of the CEO's office like he'd just escaped death, gasping for breath. "If you want to blame someone, find any excuse. I don't know what I did wrong for CEO Sophie to treat me like that." William Harris was really confused. After a while, he went back to the tech department and told everyone about the design. "I'm saying again, anyone can do it. No need to submit it on time." Talking like this, William Harris left disappointed and went back to his office. Everyone in the department was stunned. Had William Harris's personality completely changed? I just smirked a little. No need to overthink. It was clear that little Sullivan had taught him a lesson. I quickly pulled out my phone and opened the Penguin app. Sent a message to that gorgeous girl. "Baby, wait for me at the office after work. Got something to discuss." Sophie Sullivan replied almost instantly, "Got it." I put my phone down and smiled softly. Plans to meet after work were set. Time to put a ring on little Sullivan. Task assigned by the system. Finish it up. Meanwhile, someone was whispering into William Harris's ear in his office. No one knew where the rumor started. They were saying I'm dating CEO Sophie's cousin, that after I walked into CEO Sophie's office, I'm no longer single. But why can't that person be Sophie Sullivan herself? When William Harris heard this rumor, he was fully alert. He immediately put down the documents. "Oh God, is it almost time to get off work?" I got up and stretched, looking for my lovely ice beauty. As soon as I stepped out of the elevator, I saw William Harris coming out of the CEO's office. "Wow, Department Head William, that's the first time I've heard you say you have to work overtime later. It must be really tough," I joked. William heard a familiar voice and looked up. Immediately, a sycophantic smile appeared on his face. "Oh my God, young boss Jake, what are you saying?" "I'm just trying to set a good example for the company," he said with a grin, clearly being flattering. Seeing this, I was a bit stunned. What's gotten into William Harris? Does he know anything? I couldn't figure out what William Harris was up to. I ignored him, turned around, and walked into Sophie Sullivan's office. Seeing the scene, William Harris's heart started racing again. Without even knocking, the CEO barged right in like he owned the place, like he was Sophie's brother-in-law or something. Just walked in and saw Sophie Sullivan sitting with both hands supporting her chin. She was lying on the desk, doing who knows what. Lost in thought, I walked up to Sophie with a mischievous smile. "Where's the wife lost to?" Sophie Sylvan was still coming back to her senses. She came in, paused for a moment. Her face turned red. Then she opened the drawer and took out the limited edition golf necklace. A small smile tugged at the corners of my lips. I picked up the necklace, opened it, and teased her with it. Then, with a mischievous grin, she said, "I was going to put this on you myself at lunch. Too bad those people interrupted us. It's not too late, though. Make up for it now." Hearing this, Sophie felt really happy inside. She gently pressed her lips together and quietly hummed in agreement. "Come here." When I turned around, I saw that the necklace was really quite intricate. I mumbled something under my breath. Then I put my hand on Sophie Sullivan's shoulder. The next moment, her whole body shivered a little. It was the first time a man had touched her shoulders like that. Wow, this necklace really does seem made for my wife. I raised my eyebrows and smiled. Sophie noticed my eyes fixed on her fair neck. Sullivan blushed even more. Her heart was pounding. She lowered her head and softly said, "Thank you, husband." Seeing this shy beauty standing in front of me, I felt like doing something else. But I was afraid to rush things. I was also scared of losing control of myself. I had to step back for a moment. "All right, I'll head out first. See you tomorrow, love." I was about to leave when suddenly Sophie Sullivan spoke up. "Jake Thompson, are you really leaving? Seriously, that doesn't happen in Korean dramas. You don't just walk out like that." Her face flushed red again the next moment, and shyly she asked, "Jake Thompson, are you in a hurry to get home? Is something wrong?" I caught the real meaning behind her question. I took a deep breath and then mischievously raised my eyebrows. She got up. "Hey wife, is something wrong? Why does your face look so suspicious? I can't take it anymore. Little Sullivan, do you want me to do something with you?" I thought and guessed. Sophie Sullivan immediately stood up. "It's just a small thing, nothing more." Then, softly, she opened her arms for my time again. She hugged me and shyly buried her head in my chest. She just wanted a hug. Actually, Sophie Sullivan was thinking about this. Can't kiss. After all, we're each other's. We've only known each other for a day. Doing anything outside the boundary is even harder. So, in the end, a hug seemed like the best option. Sophie Sullivan felt a strange kind of comfort as she caught a faint scent on my body. "All right, you can go now, my little lover." I scratched my head and took a deep breath. "Wife, you've been thinking all along just to take a little advantage of me for such a long time." Hearing that, Sophie Sullivan was taken aback. "Taking advantage should be mutual. Are you saying that hugging you doesn't make you happy?" Okay, so I was really leaving. But as soon as I stepped out of the office, I started feeling regret. That hug was way too short. I barely felt anything. I was shocked the moment I left the office. It was the first day of our date, and Sophie Sullivan, with her icy-cold beauty, was the one who actually made the first move to hug me. My charm is seriously amazing. Then, a soft little beep came from the system. Side mission accomplished. I put a ring on my girlfriend's finger. 1,000 bond points added. Recorded a hug with Shyam. 1,000 bond points added. I was totally floored. The record of hugging Shyam. What does it even mean to break a record? Has this system unlocked some new function or something? Damn it. I've got to get home and research this fast. An hour later, Sophie Sullivan also arrived at her villa. As she opened the door, her face was glowing with indescribable joy. I thought there was a thief breaking in. Turns out, the little princess of mom and dad had come back home. That hardly ever happens. Finally, she decided to drop everything and come home to see her parents. A middle-aged man quickly rushed into the hall on the first floor, his face full of excitement. He was full and smiling. "Wow, that's great. Come here and have a look. Dad has brought you a little gift today." Sophie Sullivan was a bit surprised. Then Thomas Sullivan followed her into the study room. "Hey Sullivan, open this and see." Sophie took the small box from Thomas. Sullivan opened her hand to look inside. "Oh wow, this is Gro's necklace. What a coincidence." Just then, Thomas Sullivan noticed that their daughter was already wearing a necklace. Actually, he wanted to use the necklace as an excuse to advise his daughter to find a boyfriend. Looks like their plan got found out. Sophie Sullivan glanced at her dad and calmly said, "A friend gave it to me. It's from Gro too. A boyfriend is just a friend, right? Nothing wrong with that. You can give it to mom and dad." With that, she turned and walked away. Study. Seeing this, Thomas Sullivan was taken aback. Has his daughter really fallen in love? He took a deep breath, then rushed to the kitchen. Honey, come here. I've got big news. After a lot of guessing, Thomas managed to warn his wife as well. How will dinner go later? I asked a bit softly. Merrily gently suggested. Thomas Sullivan heard this and gave a thumbs up in approval. Meanwhile, after reaching Garden Residence Apartments, I spent a whole half hour figuring out the system's hug check-in function. Turns out, if you hug your soulmate morning, noon, and night, you get extra binding points. Damn it, isn't this basically forcing me to date properly? Then I suddenly remembered I still had 2,000 binding points left. So I immediately opened the lottery. Ding. Lottery for the host, congratulations. The host just got 100,000 soft currency. Congrats. The host also unlocked the advanced piano master skill. Seeing the reward, my smile faded. What's the use of this worthless piano? The real skill is in crafting all these collectible items. I stopped thinking about it, took out my phone and opened the Penguin app. Sent Sophie Sullivan a message. Have you eaten yet? Just then, a notification popped up. Ding. The host checked in once for evening care. Binding points plus 500. I smiled a little. 500 points for just one sentence. Morning, afternoon, and combined total of 10,500 points for the night. Also, good morning, afternoon, and evening wishes. Overall, 4,500 points. Whenever you get a chance, do some side missions. Earn 10,000 points in 2 days. Make some more pictures. Lose. Swapping the villa wouldn't be a bad idea. Meanwhile, at Half Moon Lake Villa, Thomas Sullivan was sitting at the dining table, signaling to Marley. Marley shot him a glare. I'm just eating. What's the rush? Rushing will spoil the taste. Come on, Sullivan. Try this leg piece, crispy on the outside, tender on the inside, Sophie Sullivan said. He nodded lightly. Just then, a strange sound came from his phone. Thomas Sullivan and Marilyn glanced at each other. Something's definitely off. It was definitely a message from the boyfriend. They saw Sophie Sullivan put down her chopsticks and pick up her phone. That sound was a special tone she had set for me, signaling that I had messaged her. Seeing the message, the corners of her lips curled up slightly. She couldn't hold back the flood of emotions inside her. Suddenly getting this kind of love in just one day was really intoxicating. Thinking about tonight's hug, Sophie Sullivan's face turned red. She quickly replied to the message. Then she sneaked a glance upward and caught Thomas Sullivan's eyes. Marily's gaze was like a tiger stalking its prey. Seeing that, a lot of questions popped up in Sophie's mind, and she looked a bit nervous. She hurriedly explained, my friend wasn't feeling well. It's nothing. Saying that, she flipped her phone face down on the table, as if nothing had happened. Then she picked up a chopstick and grabbed another piece of chicken leg. Mom, this chicken leg piece is really tasty. Thomas Sullivan and Marley were both stunned. Their daughter just smiled and Dharma left. It was the first time Sophie Sullivan was eating and actually replying to someone's message. And the best part, she explained everything in detail. All these weird things just prove one thing. Thomas Sullivan and Marley were looking at each other, their eyes clearly shining with happiness. Their daughter finally got a boyfriend. Meanwhile, at Garden Residence Apartments, I glanced at Sophie Sullivan's reply. The corners of her lips curled up slightly. I'm eating. My parents are here too. Talk later. Yeah. Thinking about my future in-laws made me feel really uneasy. My head started hurting again. I took a deep breath, but I kept thinking my mom was sick. Having a mother-in-law like that would be really tough for little Sullivan. I replied with a message. I'm going to play a game. Oh, here's the design I made. William Harris didn't submit it to me today. Help me check it out when you're free. Meanwhile, Sophie Sullivan went to her bedroom after dinner. Seeing my message, she went online on Penguin. You're playing a game, right? Okay. Wait until it's over. After all, no one likes to be disturbed while gaming. So, Sophie Sullivan opened the design her boyfriend sent her. The moment she read it, her heart skipped a beat. Is Jake Thompson really a genius? At 10 p.m., I shut down my computer, went to bed, and messaged Sophie Sullivan. Wi-Fi's out. Sophie told me to let her know when the game was done and wished me good night. But the next second, I froze. Sophie replied immediately. But this was important. There was a long, pre-written message, clearly typed out. It was all about design. I was about to spit blood on the ceiling. My wife was way late. Don't start with work now. Let's talk about something else. Sophie Sullivan was lying on the bed. Her eyebrows were a bit furrowed. She didn't understand what I meant by something else. I replied right away. All right, talking about romance then. Not romance, okay. For example, why did you suddenly feel like hugging me today? The moment Sophie Sullivan saw that message, her face turned red. Got it. Pinky, you silly. You already answered your own question. What other reason could there be to hug? Obviously, it's all about hugging. Then she messaged me with that laugh and mischievous vibe. Bad boy. I'm not gonna tell you, I chuckled. That's exactly what I was waiting for. You're not gonna tell. Fine then. Anyway, it's really late now. I stayed up super late last night. My boyfriend should get some sleep now. Good night, my love. Honestly, it's not that I don't want to talk to Sophie Sullivan. It's just that yesterday's drinking made me a bit sluggish. I'm tired. Plus, on top of that confession, emotional ups and downs, I haven't rested all day. Honestly, I'm really tired now. There's another reason too. I realized that teasing little Sophie through a screen isn't nearly as fun as teasing her face to face. On the other side of the screen, Sophie Sullivan was totally embarrassed. Well, it's fine if I don't tell. Jake Thompson, you're seriously crossing the line. Let's see how I deal with you tomorrow. She pouted, clenched her little pink fists, threw a hard punch at the crooked bear. Just like a little kid who's angry but gets her favorite toy. He left. Didn't you say we were going to talk about romance? And yet, you ran away. Brown guy, I'm not talking to you anymore. The next morning, Sophie Sullivan opened her sleepy eyes and saw a message from her boyfriend. Good morning, wife. She blushed and replied, good morning. Just like that, all the anger from last night vanished. Her heart filled with happiness. Then she had breakfast. After that, she carefully did her makeup for half an hour and headed to work. Sophie Sullivan had just stepped out when her parents quietly came down from upstairs. You see, usually Sullivan goes without makeup. Some girls really go all out. This morning, she spent half an hour doing her makeup. Looks like she's really in love. Sophie Sullivan just walked into her office at a company. As soon as I pushed the door open, I slipped right in behind her. She said, good morning, wife, you little troublemaker. Last night, I spent half an hour researching this system. A single hug earns you 500 bond points. I just can't miss out on that. Before leaving home today, I made sure to dress nicely. And also, with that super pretty face, Sophie Sullivan didn't have the courage to look me straight in the eye. Very much so. Meeting her was really lucky. He thought to himself that her face turned a little red, but he quietly replied, good morning. I wasn't satisfied hearing that. I made a face. Why not say it properly? I said, good morning, wife. You should respond properly. Sophie's spine stiffened under my intense gaze. Her heart was pounding hard. Her red lips moved slightly. Good morning, my little boyfriend. Just like I expected. As soon as I spoke, her face blushed. Success. I nodded with pride, my eyes full of confidence, hearing her compliment. Sophie Sullivan's heart melted like honey. Jake Thompson was praising me. I was so happy. But when I looked up again, I was already standing right in front of him. With a mischievous smile, I told Sophie Sullivan, stand up. She froze. Stand up for what? She asked, confused. Still, she obedient list. I continued, raise your arms. Sophie obeyed without hesitation. She looked just like a real doll again. Then, lowering my voice, I said, hug me. But that confident voice made Sophie Sullivan's heart skip a beat. She hugged me gently, just for a few seconds, then let go. But this time, she leaned close to my ear and whispered, good morning, my little lover. Then, like a startled bird, she turned back to her desk, picked up a pen, and started pretending to work on some documents. Seeing this, I silently waved my hand. I caught that charming scent. All right, wife, I'm off. You get to work first. Sophie Sullivan nodded like a chicken pecking and her face turned red. She left, keeping her head down the whole time. She didn't even have the courage to look up. Half a dog passed, and Sophie Sullivan still hadn't heard the door close. She was a bit confused. So, she sneakily looked up, and by chance, her eyes met my mischievous smile. Her face turned red again. I found the whole scene really adorable. Laughing, my wife didn't care about me at all. I just wanted to remind her that the pen in her hand was upside down. After saying that, I gave her a little nudge. As Sophie Sullivan stepped out of the office, the door closed behind her. Stay a little longer. This girl probably won't make it. Sophie Sullivan finally let out a sigh of relief, confirming that I was leaving. Oh God, I was humiliated in front of Jake Thompson. It's all his fault. Sophie Sullivan's heart was tangled up like silk. She clenched her little fists. A ray of sunlight fell on her bowed cheek. Her eyes were filled with laughter. Meanwhile, I got back to road and started lazing around. Plus, Played games till after 10 p.m. Just turned the game off. Was planning to watch a movie. Then the phone rang. It was a message from Sophie Sullivan. Good morning. I have a high-level meeting at 10 o'clock to discuss my design. They want me to come over and explain it a bit. I just shrug helplessly. Seriously, my plan was written so clearly maybe everyone's just illiterate. But then I flashed my usual smile. Hesitated for like 2 seconds. Then I texted, okay, but you've got to hug me in the afternoon. The moment I sent it, Sophie Sullivan in the office immediately get all excited. She was just thinking about when she could hug me. Turns out, I texted exactly what she wanted to hear. She typed immediately, okay, be on your best behavior this afternoon. Tonight, I'll give you another hug as a reward. I read it. My heart soared with joy. An afternoon hug and an evening hug. 2 hugs. 1,000 bond points. That's great, my love. Which meeting room? Message me later. But I didn't know. Right now, Sophie Sullivan was smiling like she'd won the lottery in the CEO's office. She muttered, Sophie Sullivan, you really know how to talk. Even saying she's giving a reward. Clearly, she's rewarding herself. Just then, at the door, there was a knock. Sophie Sullivan froze instantly. She quickly snapped back to her usual cool self. A minute later, I got the location from Sophie Sullivan. Then I got up and headed straight to meeting room number 2. A few people were already inside. For senior leaders were deep in discussion. Without hesitation, I pushed the door open and walked in. I wasn't even a little bit intimidated in front of those 4 senior leaders. I greeted everyone in the company, right up to the last person. The CFO, seeing the first 3 greet me, raised his eyebrows as he stared me up and down. Jake Thompson, their way to casual. Hearing that, I raised my eyebrows. This meeting was called on such short notice. I didn't even have time to change properly. Besides, nothing about these clothes felt casual tone. I cursed myself silently. No time to change. If it weren't for Sophie Sullivan, I wouldn't have even come to this meeting. Seeing me snap back, Charles Miller got annoyed right away. He growled quietly, look at what we're wearing. Then check your own outfit. Everyone here is a leader, you know. Not dressed like this. You're just trying to grab attention with what you're wearing. It's just clothes. Once Sophie Sullivan scolded him. These 3 sentences were Sophie Sullivan's own words. Now he's using those same words to scold me and feeling proud about it. Later, other leaders showed up one by one. Everyone knew Charles Miller had been scolded once just for not dressing properly. Now there's a lot of gossip and whispers. Meanwhile, I could only feel helpless. Power really can be so strong. To crush people. Just then, from the corridor, the sound of heels clicking echoed. Sophie Sullivan walked in. As soon as she entered the room, she saw Charles Miller surrounded by shareholders, bothering me. She raised her eyebrows. What's going on? Seeing Sophie Sullivan come in, Charles Miller was secretly pleased. He was already imagining how she would scold me. He explained the situation to Sophie Sullivan. I could only shrug helplessly. Vice President Miller said so. I have nothing to say. Hearing this, Sophie Sullivan bit her lower lip and started thinking. Jack Thompson was deliberately being harassed. Deep down, he felt a bit embarrassed. If he had acted sooner, or come a little earlier, things wouldn't have turned out like this. He looked up. His gaze swept across the entire room, making it feel even colder. Every leader in the room was drenched in sweat. Everyone thought, I'm done for. You should know that Charles Miller is the vice president. Sophie, the CEO, doesn't really respect him. Don't even get me started about me, I'm just an employee. Sophie Sullivan's stare was seriously ice cold. But everyone was surprised when his eyes went straight to Charles Miller. What's wrong with Jake Thompson dressing like that? President Miller, please tell me. There was a hint of coldness in Sophie Sullivan's voice. Hearing that, Charles Miller instantly got nervous. He felt something was off. But now, in this situation, all he could do was respond with a stubborn attitude. CEO Sophie, everyone's wearing business suits. Isn't Jake Thompson's outfit a bit too much? Trying too hard to draw attention, way too flashy. Sophie Sullivan was still looking at Charles Miller. She glanced up and said softly, honestly, this isn't exactly business attire, but Jake Thompson is dressed neat and proper. What's wrong with that? President Miller is being a bit too picky. If that is the case, then I want the financial report by tomorrow. Complete and detailed. I want to learn how to be picky too. And finally, apologize to Jake Thompson. Now, let's get this meeting started. The next moment, light laughter echoed through the meeting room. Sophie Sullivan was sitting in the president's chair, while Charles Miller, blushing with embarrassment, returned to his seat. The meeting ended there. The event officially began. I glanced at Sophie Sullivan and squinted my eyes. With a strong personality, calm and beautiful, this is my wife. Then I looked away. I stepped onto the stage and started my speech with enthusiasm. The leaders seated below listened in amazement. And when the speech ended, the applause broke out again. I lost count of how many times they applauded me. Sophie Sullivan was listening with shining eyes. My lover, this is just amazing. Who else in this world could be as perfect as him? So mysterious. That's all for now. I have a small boyfriend. Sophie Sullivan wanted to hug me. Honestly, her eyes were unknowingly looking at my face. Her heart was melting. But then suddenly, a voice was heard. This plan isn't really that bad. Everyone agrees. But Jake Thompson, aren't you a bit too confident? You're focusing entirely on men's feelings in this whole plan, while perfumes are mainly used by women. Charles Miller had always been waiting to find faults in me. I was already humiliated once. Not even once did I get stabbed. He just can't stop jabbering. But to shut him up, all I needed was one sentence. Based on market data, it turns out that more men use perfume than women. The moment I mentioned the stats, he instantly zipped it. Makes sense though, men buy perfume as gifts for women. After the meeting, Sophie Sullivan was about to tell me to come by her office later to report. Unexpectedly, Dylan Tank showed up early. Dylan Tank really praised me a lot. Not humble, not confident, not arrogant, no rush. Young people like that are really rare. He expressed a desire to get to know me. A little later, I saw Sophie Sullivan at the end off the hallway. Hey, isn't that my beautiful wife? Waiting for her dear lover. Sophie Sullivan Sharma looked around to make sure no one was there. Then, oddly, she said, Jake Thompson missed my elevator. It was way too crowded. There was no space inside. Hearing that, I was stunned. My wife, a fool, can't even lie properly. Who'd have the guts to compete with the CEO for the elevator? I said with a cheeky smile. The elevator arrived. Let's go. Back to the office. To do something we both like. Hearing that, Sophie Sullivan's face turned red as a beet. Hugging in the office? Just that, and she's already blushing. The next moment, I knew I'd grab her right hand. She got an electric shock instantly. Hey Jake Thompson, let go. Sophie Sullivan looked panicked, seeing no one else in the elevator. Then she ran inside like a scared rabbit. The moment the elevator doors closed, she breathed a sigh of relief. Holding her hand made her feel safe. After all, no one had seen us. Letting me hold her a little was okay. Consider it a reward for her presentation. A well-deserved trophy. And just like that, hand in hand, we kept walking until the office door was shut. I pressed Sophie Sullivan against the wall right away. Your turn now, wife. Hearing this, Sophie Sullivan hummed softly. The corners of her lips curled up slightly in a mischievous way as she whispered to herself like a little troublemaker. I was thinking about how easy this is. Do you want to hug me? Are you still feeling shy? I saw him try to move away, but then he came closer, just a few inches apart. Smiling, he raised his eyebrows. Jack Thompson's wife wouldn't break her promise, right? Sophie Sullivan pouted playfully. I raised my eyebrows a little. Yeah, it's true. He opened his arms and hugged me tightly. I couldn't hold back my sobs. 500 bonds secured. Beauty in my arms feels so comforting. Well done, my love. I'm impressed. I couldn't help myself. I reached out and gently touched the tip of Sophie Sullivan's pink nose. Sophie Sullivan froze instantly. That move was way too personal. Bam! Her face turned bright red, like blood. She wanted to pull away from me naturally. I felt sad. I hadn't done anything. Why is this girl shy again? Damn it. The internet wasn't wrong. Women's feelings are hard to read. It was 2 p.m. I arrived on time. Just sat down at my desk. About to start. I was busy watching a movie on my phone. That's when I saw William Harris come into the department office. I was worried my voice might cause some trouble for me. So, I cleared my throat softly. After all, I'm the CEO Sophie's brother-in-law. If I scared her by accident, that will be the end of everything. A huge mistake. Then he made an announcement. Everyone, pay attention to the research plan. We don't need to do it anymore. Jake Thompson's design has been approved as the final plan. The whole office went quiet in no time. Wow, out of nowhere, a heated debate broke out real fast. William Harris quickly signaled everyone to stop because Jake Thompson's plan fits this new product perfectly. CEO Sophie bumped Jake Thompson's bonus up to $200,000. On top of that, a $500 reward was split equally among our research team. Tomorrow's Friday. There will be a team building session in cafeteria, hall number 1, around noon. We're getting out early in the afternoon. No sooner had I said that than the whole research lab burst into cheers. Oh my god, Jake Thompson is amazing. CEO Sophie is truly divine. Hearing that, I smiled a little. Worth it for little Sophie. Just to keep the team's morale up, there's a 100,000 budget. It's being used. Just then, little Wolf came over smiling, looking at me like, I get you. Brother Jack, thanks again for your cousin. He's really spoiling you. He's finalizing the plan straight away. I'm stunned. That own brother must have definitely kicked you in the head as a kid. Keep talking about your cousin. Right then, as I was planning to talk to Sophie Sullivan, William Harris came over smiling. Jack Thompson talked about team building at Sabnickel, with you as the biggest contributor. I need to show off a bit of talent. I was a little shocked. Miss Sophie is coming. But what does that have to do with me? What should I show? Then she just laughed at me. But right at that moment, something came to mind. I lifted my head high with a smug smile. Hey, it's just CEO Sophie. No worries. I've got everything sorted. William Harris got it. What was I even worried about? Oh, my head feels fine. What a relief. I curled my lips slightly. Then I decided to put on a show. To make Miss Sophie completely crazy in love with me. But right at that moment the system suddenly went off. Ding. Congratulations. The hidden host mission is now active. At tomorrow's team building meeting, impress your girlfriend Sophie Sullivan. You'll earn 1,000 binding points as a reward. If you use the advanced piano master skill you've already won, the reward will double. I'm stunned. Did I really win that skill? If the piano reward doubles, Miss Sophie will definitely be impressed. Maybe she even give in to me. Hurry up and get out of work. Time flies when you're being lazy. Work's almost done. So I headed straight to Sophie Sullivan's office. The time had come. I jotted down a few points and gave that beautiful girl a hug. I still hadn't knocked. I just walked right in. But then I froze. Miss Sophie was asleep again at her desk. I should have just given her some space, maybe hugged her and left. But that wouldn't have been manly. So, I decided to check out Sophie Sullivan's wardrobe. Thought I'd find her some clothes. Just worried she might catch a cold. No other reason. That's what I told myself. She was full of innocence. I opened the wardrobe completely. A faint scent just like the one that was in her body was coming from it. I looked around but didn't see anything strange. Felt a bit disappointed. I picked up a thick coat and draped it over Sophie Sullivan's shoulders. Watching her sleep so deeply, I didn't want to wake her. She was really exhausted, so I let her sleep a little longer. I had just stepped a couple of steps outside the office when an alarm went off behind me. What was that? Sophie Sullivan suddenly woke up, shivering. She felt freezing cold. Why is there a coat on my back? Come on, forget it. Put it on yourself first. Jack Thompson's coming soon. He needs to wake up a bit. But when he looked up, his eyes met mine. Eyes full of a mischievous smile. Sophie Sullivan froze. Her face clearly turned red. Jack Thompson, when did you get here? I just got here a few minutes ago. I thought I wouldn't get to hug you tonight. My wife is amazing. She even set an alarm just to hug me. I teased her, but her eyes were sparkling. Because Sophie Sullivan looked even more attractive wearing that athletic jacket. Yeah. When Sophie Sullivan heard my tease, she couldn't help but pout a little. She hummed softly. It's not that annoying. I just got scared. Today, no hugs allowed. Otherwise, tomorrow she'll complain that I didn't hug her. So, I'll need to make up for it with hugs multiple times. I did darg. Just quietly gave Sophie Sullivan a mental thumbs up. Definitely wife material. You really get me. So, come on, let's hug now. My girlfriend hadn't even responded yet. I pounced on her like a hungry tiger hunting its prey. He pulled me close in his arms. I felt that gentle warmth. Sophie Sullivan came over to me. I was feeling a bit irritated. But after trying twice, I held her tighter. Then, blushing, she whispered softly, Jake Thompson, don't squeeze anymore, something's going to break. Her voice slowly faded away. You understood everything clearly but still pretended not to know. I acted confused. What's going to break? Seeing this, Sophie Sullivan's face turned even redder, like she was about to cry. She stammered quietly, okay, that thing, the thing you all guys like. I was still holding her tight. After teasing her non-stop for 2.5 hours, I finally let go unwillingly. Right then, Sophie Sullivan shyly rubbed that soft spot on her chest. Her cheeks turned pink. So smooth, like she'd just float away in the air. Then she pouted and muttered, this is all your fault. Jake Thompson, you pressed way too hard. It hurts there. I scratched me head awkwardly. After all that, what else could I say? I had to change the subject quick. Oh yeah, I realized you've got your own unique charm. You're wearing office clothes. Why don't you try wearing different styles for a change? Sophie Sullivan looked like her mind just blew. She glanced down and replied. Then she noticed I'd already messed up her collar a while ago. She blushed deeply and quietly said, "Don't all guys like the office style?" I scratched my head hearing that, mature and sensible, huh? My face froze, turning red with anger. Who said they can't represent me, as long as I like everything I wear? But when I thought about it again, something didn't feel right. I quickly corrected myself and said, actually, if I had to choose, my favorite isn't athletic wear, but the Japanese school uniform, JK. Sophie Sullivan stopped dead in her tracks. Touching her cheek with her finger, she asked me innocently, "What's JK?" Hearing that, my throat tightened. Oh God, Sophie Sullivan, the super strict CEO who's only 20 years old, doesn't even know what JK is. Don't they have internet at her place? She's so naive. I thought. He immediately put on a serious face and acted all proper. I tried to explain, it's just a kind of uniform. I think it really irritates my wife. How's a uniform any different from office clothes? Sophie Sullivan didn't get it. All she remembered was one thing. She liked JK's style. It really gets on my nerves. Sophie Sullivan was still looking at me with suspicious eyes, filled with a charming curiosity. I leaned in closer again and smiled, saying, exactly, especially on fools like you, drooling in my sleep. Hearing this, Sullivan just froze. Do I really drool in my sleep? Following my Ghazi, he looked up and then at the desk where she had just been sleeping. Sure enough, there was a tiny, clear line of drool there. Oh, Sophie's face turned as red as a tomato. How embarrassing. Jake Thompson, why didn't you tell me earlier? You did this on purpose, didn't you? Sophie puffed up her cheeks, took a deep breath, and glared at me angrily. It's all right, love. I saw it just now too. No big deal. Who hasn't drooled in their sleep? I'll just wipe it off. Hearing this, Sophie Sullivan got really scared. She snatched the tissue from my hand but lost her balance and stumbled. Her whole body bent over, like she was about to fall straight to the ground. I was shocked. I quickly reached out to catch her. Oh my gosh, this silly girl. Good thing I reacted fast. Otherwise, she would have hurt her butt badly from the fall. I could even hear the thud her backside would have made hitting the floor. That gentle feeling reached my palm. I couldn't help but take a deep breath. My hand was so soft I just pressed her lightly. It must be a tough bone, right? I accidentally slipped my hand a little lower, but Sophie Sullivan's eyes met mine directly. Jake Thompson, the troublemaker, I saw his face turn red. He pressed his lips together, crossed his arms over his chest, and started looking at me. I couldn't stop myself and blurted out, "Babe, let me explain first." No, seriously, let me explain. But seeing Sophie Sullivan angry, I quickly found an excuse to get out of there. Suddenly I remembered I had some work to do tonight. After all, there's a performance tomorrow. I'm leaving first, bye. Oh, and about the drool that was dripping a moment ago, I wiped it off for you. It quickly grabbed a tissue and cleaned the desk spotless. Then, without saying a word, I immediately ran off. Sophie Sullivan walked out of the office. Haha, teasing little Sophie is seriously fun. Almost forget her real side is still that of a tough lady CEO. Based on the closeness level between host and girlfriend, 5 binding points were added. That makes a total of 65 points. Check-in rewards, double points. The host bravely saved Sundari, stopped the girlfriend from falling and did an amazing job. Got to 1,000 binding points as a bonus. The system's voice was ringing in my head. I couldn't stop myself from scratching my head. This move really turned out to be super useful. When I got back to the CEO's office, Sophie Sullivan felt like her whole face was burning. Thank God no one saw that. Jake Thompson is seriously going way too far. I remembered the teasing from a little while ago. I almost fell over for real. Jake Thompson caught me. It wasn't wrong. Even if his hand accidentally brushed my waist, it's fine. I'm just worried for no reason. I'm not, but why press so hard on purpose? Jack Thompson, you idiot. Good thing you ran off quickly. Sophie Sullivan made a face. No one had ever touched her waist before. Her voice sounded like she wanted to tear me apart. But what she was really thinking, only she knew. Judging by her expression, it seemed like she was actually enjoying it. Sophie Sullivan took a deep breath and made a call. A couple of minutes later, Secretary John pushed the door open, scratched his head, and asked, "CEO?" Sophie wanted to talk to me about some work. Sophie Sullivan knew there was a lot of small stuff to handle today. So, Secretary Zhang was going to work overtime until 10 p.m. tonight. Hearing this, Sophie waved her hand and said, "You should get some rest. Coming in at 10 p.m. is fine." Secretarizing was surprised, but as a professional, she immediately understood what Sophie meant. The CEO had something for her to do. Sophie softly hummed and wanted to say more, but didn't know how to start. Stammering, she said, "Can you help me buy JK's uniform?" Hearing this, Secretary Zhang, she almost fell to the ground. "JK CEO, are you sure this is JK and not CK?" Sophie Sullivan nodded seriously. "Yeah, JK has a kind of uniform, help me buy it." Secretary Zhang was stunned. She couldn't even imagine Sophie Sullivan wearing JK's uniform. "Which brand?" "Any color will do." "Their requirements." Sophie Sullivan paused for a moment. Her eyes moved toward the computer. She quickly opened a document file and searched for the section labeled "My Name, Position." "And Jack Thompson likes the color blue." Sophie Sullivan read it and then thought. "And I said, blue is fine. When it comes to style, you can pick whatever you like." Secretary Zhang saw them opening the documents and then let out a sigh of relief. She must be buying it for someone else. Thank goodness, I was really scared. Then she replied, "Yes, CEO." While speaking, Secretary Zhang turned around and left the office. After the secretary left, Sophie Sullivan finally breathed a sigh of relief. But her eyes unintentionally drifted toward the desk. A little while ago, in a panic, I had wiped the drool from her mouth while she was sleeping. Actually, Sophie Sullivan rejected me because I gave it to her because he was scared. He was afraid I'd think badly of him. After all, it was just drool, but I didn't mind at all. This made Sophie Sullivan genuinely happy. She felt like she'd been chosen. A feeling of trust, safety, and confidence blossomed in her heart. What a great boyfriend he is. Tomorrow, I'll wear that dress and go see him. Hopefully, he won't think badly of me. Sophie Sullivan's face was full of hope. She had no idea what kind of bad things she was imagining. That's why her face had turned pink. On the other side, on Serenity Street in the Celestial Music House district, I wanted to buy a piano to prepare for tomorrow's performance. Although I needed to upgrade my skills through the system, I didn't want to rush into things carelessly. At the very least, I needed a good piano. I had to get somewhat familiar with the keys and pick a piece of music. I decided to spend big and immediately bought the best piano. The whole buying process went smoothly. I swiped my card. The delivery was done. Carefully, it was placed in my living room. "Mr. Thompson, congrats on your new Yamaha." The owner Evan gave me his business card. I just took it without thinking and got ready to give it a try. Lucky my apartment's pretty spacious, otherwise there'd be no room for a piano. I sat down at the piano. Looking at the black and white keys, countless techniques and melodies flooded my mind. My fingers gently rested on the keys. Sliding smoothly, a sweet tune began to play. I let out a soft sigh. The melody was beautiful, and she was gentle. Her voice danced like fairies. It was like a skill gifted by nature itself. Picking the tunes felt like sifting through my thoughts. I could think about names, melodies, and main notes. Emotions instantly welled up inside me. After careful selection, I finally chose a perfect piece. Damn it, could this really happen? Would little Sophie not cry emotionally? Would she not throw herself fully into my arms? The next morning, a ray of sunlight fell into the room. After getting ready, I headed to the company. He left. After swiping inside, I went straight up to the top floor. Though what happened at the office yesterday was a bit embarrassing. But last night, I questioned Sophie Sullivan over text messages. I tested her. Her attitude seemed a bit different. It felt okay. I pushed the door open and walked in. I saw Sophie Sullivan resting her chin on the computer screen, staring and smiling continuously. Don't know what bad thoughts she's having again. I walked straight up to Sophie Sullivan and smiled gently. "Honey, how about a little hug? For energy." Sophie Sullivan didn't hesitate either. She reached out and gave me a tight hug. "I've heard me little boyfriend is about to perform soon. Give me some hints." "I can't give you any hints. What if the performance doesn't go well?" "That's enough. The system doesn't give binding points, so what then?" Suddenly, I got an idea. I pointed to the dark circles under my eyes and pretended to complain. "Wife, look, why are these dark circles here? Why do I have dark circles under my eyes?" "Because I stayed up last night preparing for the performance. Don't you feel any pity?" Hearing this, Sophie Sullivan pouted a little. "Are you really that tired now? It's just a company party. No need to put so much pressure on yourself." She cared about me a lot. "If something happened to you from staying up like this, what would sick me do?" But before she could finish, I stopped her mid-sentence. I put my index finger gently on her lips, signaling Sophie Sullivan to be quiet. Getting deliberately closer, my voice softened. Because yesterday, I heard that my wife was beautiful. An attractive woman would come to see me herself. If I didn't prepare everything perfectly, how could he surprise my wife? Hearing this, Sophie Sullivan froze, her ears filled with my sweet words. So Jake Thompson wanted to surprise me. That's why he stayed up so late. His eyes got dark circles. Who wouldn't be impressed by that kind of dedication? Being led like this made her even more excited about my performance. My heart was crawling with hundreds of ants, super restless. I was just hoping the afternoon would come quickly. Let me go check it out. Oh no. But first, I need to wear the uniform Jake Thompson likes. Gotta surprise him. Sophie Sullivan gave a sweet smile. I was already at the office door, just about to open it. Don't forget to be on time, honey. Sophie Sullivan smiled softly and nodded obediently. All right, dear. Back in the road, I headed straight to my office and took my seat. Meanwhile, on the other side, Secretary John walked into Sophie Sullivan's office wearing JJ's uniform. CEO Sophie, see these two? I bought these from the special craft shop at Galaxy Plaza. One is a light sky blue and the other is a deep blue. I thought both were beautiful, so I got them both. Sophie Sullivan suggested placing them on the desk. Please give the bill to the finance department for reimbursement. After Secretary Jing left, Sophie Sullivan couldn't stop herself from opening those two beautiful boxes right away. As soon as she saw skirts inside, Sophie was mesmerized. I was stunned. Why is this skirt pleated? This style is super feminine. I've never worn clothes like this before. Oh, that's why Secretary Jing has been so surprised since yesterday. It wasn't at all to my liking. Around 11:30, everyone from the R&D department started drifting in slowly. The place was beginning to feel alive. What's little Jack up to? I think he's just standing there putting on a show all by himself. Exactly. The girls from the department even had their makeup done. They are clearly jealous of our little Jack. I heard them whispering to each other and just smiled without saying a word. I glanced at girls like Rose and Lillian. Honestly, they looked more beautiful than ever today. 5 minutes later, William Harris finally stood up. There were tears in his eyes, and they were thanking from the heart. After a boring 20-minute speech, William Harris finally wrapped up his lecture. He raised his eyebrows as he looked my way. Now it's the turn of RD's talented artist, Jake Thompson. The once restless crowd suddenly got excited. Come on, Jake, it's your turn now. Finally, your performance. Super pumped. Oh my god, sisters, look at Jake. Honestly, I want to have a babbies right now just looking at his profile. Hearing that, I immediately felt dizzy. I just wanted to say, everyone hold on a second. The CEO, Sophie, still hasn't arrived. If I perform now, then I'm going to lose a lot. Little Miss Sophie, what are you doing? Why haven't you come yet? How about wait a bit? Play some small games with beer and stuff. Nobody's gonna say no to that, right? William Harris smiled, looking around at everyone when he saw me hesitating and slammed his hand on the table. Oh man, our genius is holding back. Come on, give her a round of applause. The whole hall immediately filled with thunderous clapping. Jack Thompson stepped forward. I felt like my whole body turned to nothing. I wanted to slap William Harris twice. I just wanted to run away. He was just about to make an excuse, but he failed. Then I noticed someone quietly opening the hall door. The next moment, I froze completely. Oh God, who is this? Judging by the clothes, it looked like a sweet girl. But this face was exactly like my wife from the icy mountains. I was stunned. Does my wife have a twin sister? Then suddenly I remembered. Yesterday, I accidentally said I liked JK's uniform. Solid Sophie wore it for me. William Harris was shocked to see Sophie Sullivan like this. Immediately I stepped forward with a smile to greet her. But Sophie's eyes were as cold as ice. She completely ignored me and found the perfect spot to watch my performance. The whole research room went silent the moment everyone realized it was CEO Sophie. But they just couldn't get it. Oh God, does the CEO dress like this? I couldn't take it anymore. It took me a full minute to pull myself together. Then Averian rushed to welcome Sophie Sullivan. I could only shrug helplessly. Look, seriously. That useless little Sophie scared everyone so much she turned pale. Watch how I take her down. I placed my hands on the piano, and a sweet tune filled the whole hall. Then I turned to the audience and sang confidently without any instruments. The performance went on for more than 12 minutes and ended with a deep, calm note. Sophie Sullivan barely swallowed. Her whole body seemed numb. I was trembling. Standing on the stage, I was drenched in cold sweat. Thank goodness nothing went wrong. I bowed to everyone. I thanked her. My words felt like sparks. At that moment, because Sophie Sullivan was there, no one could hold themselves back anymore. Sophie Sullivan, just like everyone else, was completely lost in the piano melody. The girls who had just been fixing their makeup during the research suddenly had tears in their eyes. Their mascara ran. Yeah, even Sophie felt like tears were about to fall. She understood better than anyone the feeling of loving someone but not being able to have them. Just thinking about it made her feel foolish. Her whole head went numb. Remembering it made her body shiver. There was no love in his eyes that couldn't be reached. The gap between an employee and a CEO was huge. What's the difference between a simple warrior and a fairy tale princess? But he sent message full of hope. He told me he'd reach out to hold my hand, break worldly chains and search for the purest love in the world. I can do it. I definitely can. Sophie Sullivan lifted her head. Her red eyes met Jake Thompson's. A determined look. Even when billion-dollar contracts were canceled, she didn't cry. Even when the partners pulled their support. Even when earth-shaking events happened. She never thought about crying. But in that moment, she wanted to. CEO Sophie was satisfied. I also noticed Sophie Sullivan getting emotional. So, to lighten the mood, I joked on purpose. My wife is so beautiful. If this little beauty cries and lets the research team see, that's free content for them. Sophie Sullivan nodded softly. I stood up, because I was used to wearing office clothes. JK wearing these clothes felt a bit weird. Right now, she looked like a princess, catching everyone's surprised eyes in the entire research department. Slowly, she came closer, lifted her fair arm, and wrapped it around my waist. Just like the determination I had in the song I just played. Not the kind-of love that could happen, but the one that had to happen. That's why I gathered the courage late at night and told her how I felt. That's why today I changed the lyrics of the Dream Wedding song. Sophie Sullivan was thinking the same thing too, firmly confirming that I am the one she's been waiting for. She chose, filled with all hopes and pure affection. She really wanted to hug me, without caring what others think. If you want to hug, just go ahead and hug. The next moment, two gentle feelings reached my chest. I felt helpless, but at the same time, a warmth whispered softly, so many people are watching. My wife, Sophie Sullivan, just hummed lightly, so what? Let them watch. This is my company. I hug whoever I want. Jake Thompson sighed. Actually, I never really wanted others to know about me. Talking about my relationship with Jane and Sophie Sullivan. I was scared my colleagues would be shocked. I was also worried people would think I'm just a freeloader. But honestly, I'm living purely off my own talent. Right now, I don't even know what else to explain. Sophie, the CEO, who's always so cool and composed, suddenly hugged me. No words can describe how I felt. Looking at my coworkers sitting below the stage, everyone's eyes were wide open, jaws dropped. What about the little Wolf? His face was full of confusion. Honest eyes were signaling me, Brother Jake, can I help you understand? Man, I really want to expose who you are. I can't take it anymore. I looked into the little Wolf's shining eyes. Damn, how much nonsense have you been fed? Finally, do you get it? Yeah, that's right. Sophie Sullivan is my wife. I signaled the little Wolf to say nothing. But my shining eyes were completely misunderstood by the little wolf. Damn, bro. Jake is telling me to say bro. I'm the CEO Sophie's cousin. They were so scared that they basically died, but keep your voice down. Don't bother the CEO. The little wolf took a deep breath, nodding repeatedly. Brother Jake said it has to be done right. He turned slowly to his confused teammates and whispered, You're all tangled up. Why is CEO hugging Brother Jake? Everyone looked at each other suspiciously. Yeah, we're confused, aren't you? They asked. Do you really know the reason? The little wolf grinned mischievously. He said, I really know. I'm not going to beat around the bush. The whole group objected together. Little wolves, are you going door to door? You're talking absolute nonsense. I'd sooner believe Jesus rose from the tomb. What ridiculous stuff. No one's going to buy that. William Harris said. I believe it. I can testify that it's true. Silence fell. Though it was a bit doubtful. After all, he's the head of their search and development department. He's also counted among the company's leadership. Wanting to know more is natural. His words hit everyone right in the heart like nails. The little wolf made a face, soft of course. Now you guys get how talented Brother Jake is at playing the piano. Pretty amazing, right? Even CEO Sophie is human. She feels for them too, right? She got so emotional that she hugged Brother Jake, so what? After all, they're family. When the whole group nodded in agreement, That was that. Wife said, meeting's over. Didn't you hug enough? I made a face. My back's killing. She looks slim. Why's her grip so strong? Sophie Sullivan pouted. Finally, she was ready to give in. Her face turned a soft pink. Her lips parted slightly. Jake Thompson, you have the afternoon off today. Let's go on a date. I smiled and gave a small nod. Sophie winked at me mischievously, her right hand lightly resting on my waist. Wait for me at the office, she said, then turned and walked away down the hall without looking back. Honestly, she was thinking the same thing, how to explain this to the junior staff. In the end, she decided not to explain anything. Let them guess whatever they want. Sophie Sullivan didn't care. She wasn't free. She had more important things to do. She quickly fixed her makeup. Sorry everyone for this little heartfelt meeting with me this afternoon. The CEO got emotional a while ago. Let's get back to eating, drinking, and playing games, I said calmly with a slight smile. He wasn't sure if everyone believed it though. After all, they had clearly seen it. Suddenly, the whole hall erupted with screams. Oh my God, that's awesome. Brother Jake found the CEO's cousin. The true idol of a modern man, Jake Thompson. Although I can't find you, I'm really sorry, but I still want to bring you happiness. I also send me best wishes to you and the CEO's cousin sister. You both will be very happy. My whole body and heart went numb. What's wrong with these people? What kind of ending is this? That wicked little wolf came closer again, raising his eyebrows and smiling. Brother Jake, we've explained everything to you. No need to thank us. I held my head in my hands. So that's what the little wolf's look meant. It still feels weird to even think about it. How can everyone believe him? That little wolf's claim Thaddeum the Sophie's brother-in-law. His mouth is full of lies. And yet, people believe him. The little wolf paused. William Harris said everyone knows it's true. He must have heard it straight from the CEO. I wanted to scream inside my head. What the hell is going on? How did William Harris even find out about this? Someone, please give me a valid reason. That's all I kept hearing in my ears. The CEO Skousen. I was completely stunned. At first, only the little wolf was the fool. So the whole group is just a bunch of fools. Is my workplace a hangout for idiots? But then, on second thought, this kind of misunderstanding isn't entirely bad. I took a deep breath. Then I gave up trying to explain. The team building ended at 2 p.m. After everyone left, I immediately ran toward Sophie's office. Honey, come on. Let's go out on a date. Sophie Sullivan pouted a little. Looking at me, her gaze was really charming. Who said we'd go on a date with you? I instantly showed a pained expression. Girls' faces change so quickly. They change their mind. Fine, whatever. I'm going home to play games. Sophie Sullivan was shocked. Jake Thompson, you idiot. Seeing that I was actually about to leave, he panicked. What an idiot. Can't you see how much I've prepared? Come back. Where are we even going on this date? What date? A satisfied smile played at the corners of my lips. I know how to handle Sophie Sullivan. Wife, where do I want to go? Sophie Sullivan nodded. She had never been on a date before. She didn't even really know what dating meant. She'd only heard the word in Korean dramas. I suggested going shopping, watching a movie, or hanging out at the amusement park. Surprisingly, a mysterious smile appeared on Sophie's lips, matching Sullivan's. When she looked at him, her eyes lit up. Just like my boyfriend would say, any date with you is perfect. Yeah, I thought to myself, isn't this all just sweet talk? I know that too. I took a deep breath. Feeling a bit carried away, I said, all right, let's stroll around Galaxy Plaza. I need to buy some seasonal clothes too. Sophie silently cheered. A walk sounds good. No problem with shopping either. No. But why Galaxy Plaza? That belongs to Thomas Sullivan.
Dhinchak, dhinchak, party hard. Everybody put your hands up now.